Hey everyone, welcome back. So in this video, I wanted to go over the miner versus miners, take a look out, see how they're basically building out, how they compare to each other as far as hash rate goes. Not even that we won't take a look at the HODL position, but we'll look at the hash rate and things like that. Also take a look at to see what it would take for the price of Bitcoin to go down to before these miners start becoming unprofitable. Basically, what is the bottom price of Bitcoin for it to reach in order for these guys to not make any money on it, to basically just break even, or they're going to start shutting off miners basically. So we'll look at that. But first, as always, not financial advice, for entertainment only. Do your own research. Don't fall for scams, and spam posts get reported and deleted. So here's what we got right now on, let's take a look at, let me see where to go here. Let's take a look at Bitcoin really quick, see what it's doing. And we won't get into too much details on it, but if you want to take a look at what my thoughts on Bitcoin, take a look at the previous video that I did with Bitcoin versus miners, or miners versus Bitcoin. I go into a little bit more depth here, but right now, obviously, we're at 34,593. Looks like we're about to touch that line that I drew here a while back on the descending line, and we are getting really close to touching it if we haven't already touched it right now. And this is on the weekly chart. If we look at the daily chart, we are really close to that. I'm thinking that we may touch this and go back up, but you guys can take a look at the video on that one. But the reason we are here is obviously for the miners. So we know the price of Bitcoin is 34,500 roughly. So here's what I got for it right now. Set up in here for January. I have it set for BTC price of 34,530. Average hash rate for the month is around 183 million. We started out the month at 168. We are right now at 198 million. So that's where we are with it right now as far as the details used for January. So let's take a look at the miners comparison here, and we'll get into some more details on everybody here. So obviously, Argo is at 98 cents, Bitfarms is at 358, Cleanspark is at 640 right now, Digihost is at 308, DMG is at 503, Hive is at 182, Hut is at 537, Iris at 958, Marathon 2206, and Mawson 424. And Riot at $15 even. Obviously, the market cap has come back way down on all these guys. If you look at the previous video that I did, you can see how much they've all come down in the last 12 weeks. And it is a lot. So that's obviously causing the market cap to go down. Here is my estimated revenue. So here's how I estimate the revenue. So if we look at, we'll look at Argo. It'll be an easy one. So we're looking at the miners that are installed for each month. Obviously, they're going to be mining 1 month to maybe half a month or a quarter month. That will be recorded here. We'll use the Bitcoin price that is for, obviously, here for January, whatever day I'm doing the video on. We'll use the most recent price on it, and that'll get us how much each miner is making per day. We can then multiply that by the number of miners to get how much they're possibly going to make in January. Multiplying by 30 days, basically. And I probably will update this to include how many actually days are in a month to get a more accurate number on this. This is right now it's set at 30. So that's something I have to work on. And then obviously we get the total for each month. We look at the petahash that they have on each one and combine it to get basically how much hash rate they will have at the end of the month. And then obviously the number of miners for each month. And then that way we can kind of tally, see how they're improving going forward. So right now I have them based on where Bitcoin price is, the hash rate, the number of miners that are installed currently. If everything stayed the same, they would be at approximately 98 million gross revenue right now. This is obviously not including any electrical costs, overhead costs, things like that. This is just pure mining profit. So from that, I always do it like a 75% net income from gross with a 20 price to earnings multiple would get us to $2.64 on them, and we can see here that they are at 98 cents right now, which tells me that they are undervalued, in my opinion. Right now, all of these miners are undervalued, I believe, basically because Bitcoin has come way down. So that's where we are with that. They obviously have a HODL position here, but we won't get into HODL too much. And we obviously have the operational percentage of operational miners compared to future hash rate. So we have 1,608 hash rate, exahash right now, 1.6 exahash. Future is going to be around 3.7 or so. So they're 43% operational right now. They have a number of miners, 26,050, and their hash average per miner is 61. And that's because they have a lot of these 38 terahash miners here, which I think they're going to be getting rid of along with the 65s once these other miners start coming in here. So that will obviously improve their hash rate overall once those miners are gone, and we find out when they are gone. If we look at Bitfarms as well, Bitfarms, we have them obviously making about 1154 to as high as 1358 per miner. These are the amount of miners that we have in here right now for them. So they are at 2.2 exahash with 27,000 miners, earning approximately right now 11.2 million a month. So that would get us to 135 million if everything stayed the same for the remainder of the year. And then that would give us $10.80 basically price where the stock should be for that month, for the year, basically. Right now for the month, we have them obviously at 1265 here, and that's using the last 3 quarters, which is obviously including Q4, Q3, and Q2, where this is all obviously for all 2022, so that's why there's a difference here on the pricing as well. So currently they're operational at 35% of their future hash rate. Miner hash per miner average is 81, so that's pretty good. It's not the best, but it's pretty good. It's in the middle of the range here on all of these guys. Obviously, they've been down the last 4 weeks. Stock price 358, so undervalued in my opinion here on them. They do obviously have a HODL position as well of 4,301, which is good. And some of these guys don't have a HODL position, but you can see that their basically HODL position is worth 200 million or so, and their market cap right now is 672, so they're way undervalued, just like the other guys are. Cleanspark, if we look at Cleanspark, Cleanspark has all of these miners here. They got rid of some of the older miners, the 54 terahash, and then obviously they got a bunch of the 100 terahash miners being installed. So that is including these here, these, and down here, these guys. And we got some over here that they also purchased. So they are at 1.9 almost exahash on the hash rate with 18,800 miners. And they're making basically $16.97 on them per day. So that leads us to each month making about 9.6 million or so. And for the year, they would be at 115 million, and a price to earnings multiple of 20, 75% from net or from gross revenue would be $41.88, where I would think the stock should be. They are right now at 640, way undervalued, just based on where things are going. I think all the investors are just gone crazy. Obviously, you guys are doing your due diligence. You guys know where things should be really based on future hash rate and everything else. The normal investors that are just buying because Bitcoin's going down and they're selling. So it is what it is. We'll have to keep an eye on it. They do have a small HODL position of 633. They're 45% operational right now from the future hash rate, and their hash per miner average is 100 terahash, which is really good. Pretty efficient miners. So full disclosure, I do own Cleanspark, Bitfarms, and Hive in here. I own the stocks, obviously. Small position in Cleanspark and small position in Bitfarms, a bigger position in Hive. So just so you guys know. Digihost is also going to be basically mining these here. So there are 832 on these miners, 1528 to 1586 on the more efficient miners here. And so they're looking to make about 2.1 million a month right now. So we got basically 25 million for the year if everything stays the same. So we're looking at possibly a share price of 760, and this is using a 10 price earnings multiple of 10. If we go up to 20 like the rest of the guys, but I don't think they're going to get it, mainly because they do have such a low hash rate, future hash rate announced, that a lot of investors aren't giving them the higher multiple. So if we go with a 20 here, we would be at 1520, but obviously I think they're going to be closer to the 10 multiple. I don't think they're going to get the 20 multiple, so we'll leave them at 10 and drop this one down to 10 as well. So we get a little bit more, I think, accurate where they should be. So they're at 308. I think they should be around 712. Obviously, way undervalued. They are 55.3% operational right now from future hash rate. They do have a small HODL position as well. And what else can I show you guys here? Oh, hash per miner averages at 82,000, which is obviously the average, but we're seeing across the board here for most of the miners, except for a couple of them are above 100,000. They've been buying the more recent miners. Let's take a look at DMG here really quick. DMG is going to be mining basically right now. We have all of these miners here, and they're basically 2136, and this is in Canadian dollars. And then we converted back into US dollars. So these are 1922 Canadian dollars. 1986 here, and that's it. So I've also included, I believe in here is 400,000 for hosting. I think they do Canadian a month. It's an estimate. I don't know for sure how much that's going to be. So we get them at almost 5 million revenue a month, roughly. So that'll give them up to 30 million in revenue for the year, close to it. We're also giving a price to earnings multiple of 10 here, so $1.32. They are at 53 cents, so obviously undervalued in my opinion, $1.05 here as well. But if we go to 20, like with the rest of the guys that we have set up here, they should be closer to $2 on that. $2.11 based on what they're going to be earning here on it. So they are 27% up, operational. Their future hash rate is going to be 1.5, 1.6 roughly. They're currently at 425 petahash, and their average miner is 89,000, which is pretty good. Haven't seen any BTC hodl position on them, and yeah, that's it for them. Let's go on to Hive. Hive is mining obviously Ethereum as well, so I got Ethereum. I should probably adjust this since obviously prices come down. So this is still using the price of 3,300 I think I was using on Ethereum when I did the calculations for this. So I need to adjust this. So this would obviously come down quite a bit. But for Bitcoin mining, they're basically making 1356 on these miners here, 1528 on some of the more efficient miners. We got a couple 100,000 miners here, so those would be almost $17, and then 1256 on the 74 terahash, and then 1484 on the 87 terahash miners. And let's see if we got anything else. So we got them at 15 million, and a lot of that is obviously thanks to Ethereum mining. But that's probably going to be closer to maybe 5.5 million or something like that. So they'll drop it down. So based on that information, we got them at basically making 180 million next year. If the price of Bitcoin stays where it's at, hash rate stays the same, everything stays the same, they're getting new miners. But we know that they're all going to get new miners installed for the most part. So the price is obviously, their revenue is going to increase as long as they can keep ahead of the hash rate going up. So we'll have to keep an eye on that. But right now I got them at 660 where they should be based on just the raw values that we have now. And for the last 3 quarters, including this current quarter, they would be at 643. And they are at 182. So in my opinion, way undervalued like the rest of the guys, like everybody else is. They are 43% operational already from future hash rate. Average hash rate on miners 83,000. So you're kind of seeing this kind of pattern here with the miners. They're all about 80,000 or above a little bit. Let's take a look at Hot 8. Hot 8 is also in Canadian here, so they're looking to be at $15 Canadian for these. I think this is the last of the black boxes that they have, that they've been reporting, and then they're getting obviously the new miners installed here at $16 to $19.33. They also have $19.43 here. Then they also have obviously the Ethereum GPU servers. I have those at 2.1 million Canadian. And they also have hosting revenue. So we're looking possibly at around 13 million Canadian, which is around 10.8 million in USD. So here we're using 10 million, the USD amount. So we would be at 130 million on them. And their operational hash rate is right now at 49%. And this is only based on the ASIC miners. And their average hash rate is 87,000 right now, but they also obviously have the GPU mining, which includes into it would be giving them a 2 exahash combined hash rate. So it's pretty good. They obviously have a huge BTC pilot position, which is almost basically a little bit more than a quarter of their market cap value, which is just ridiculous. So yeah, way undervalued. Based on all of that, we should be around 1199. They're at 537, obviously. Way undervalued, just like the rest of the guys are here. Iris Energy, we'll take a look at next. So they're at 1697 with these miners here. They are currently at 836 petahash for the month right now. I know they're supposed to get some more miners in. And that gives them to be earning basically, 4.2 million right now a month, which gets them up to 12 million, roughly almost 13 million a quarter. To 51 million right now if everything stayed the same. Obviously that would give us a basic price for the year of 1393, and then obviously for the last 3 quarters plus this quarter would give us 1293 as well here. Using the price earnings multiple of 20, we're looking at, yeah, so hash rate, future hash rate, they're obviously 5% operational from future hash rate. They want to get to 15. They did have a story come out this week that they signed a agreement to get to, I think, being able to have like 22 exahash of future power. So they're obviously on track to doing that. Now it's just getting the infrastructure in, getting the miners installed, getting to that, and their future hash rate isn't until 2023 Q1 or Q2, I believe. So they still obviously have a ways to go. Their hash per miner average is 100,000. They've been buying obviously the more efficient miners that are also a newer player in this space, so they don't have some of the legacy hardware installed as well. Don't have a BTC HODL position for them, and shares out are pretty good. They're low, so good things to come for ours, I think. Marathon obviously is the big dog here. I have them at 25, but that should be at 23.3, I believe, exahash. So I got to run through the numbers to figure out where I'm going wrong. I think it might be in the numbers here of the 110 terahash. They should be, I think, 100 terahash. So I got to run through this, see if that will make sense. I know, but basically they're making 1528 per miner on the 90 terahash to 1867 on the 110 terahash miners. If those are in fact the 110, I think those might be the 100 terahash. So that would obviously come down a little bit in price. But they obviously have a lot of miners coming in this year, which is going to get them to a huge increase in hash rate. So with that, we have them at basically making 215 million this year. If everything stays the same, no new miners get installed, Bitcoin stays where it's at, hash rate stays where it's at. That's what we're looking at. So the price should be around 31.54 for the year 2022. And then obviously we have them at current hash rate of 3.5. Future is going to be 23. So they're probably operational closer to 15% on their hash rate. And their average hash rate per miner is 109, and I think that's because I'm using 110 here, but I think it should be 100 terahash, so I got to update that as well. Based on the last 3 quarters plus this quarter, we're looking at a stock price of 27.93. They're at 22, so they are actually now undervalued in my opinion, where before they were, in my opinion, overvalued. But they also have a huge HODL position here of 8,000 coins. That gives them a 280 million value on those, and that is basically 12% of their market cap to HODL position. All right, Mawson, last two here. Mawson is mining these here at 1494 to 1690 or 1663. They got some that are at 1307, some of the 77 terahash miners, and then 85 terahash miners would be at 1443. So that would give us to a price of possibly I would say maybe 67 million for the year for 2022. 20 multiple, we're looking at 1454. Obviously, it's 75% discount, or not discount, net income from gross revenue. And if we're looking at just the last 3 quarters plus Q1 of 2022, we would be at 1092, and they are at 424. So obviously, way undervalued. Future hash rate is going to be around 3 exahash. They are currently at 1 exahash. That is at 36% operational, obviously. And their hash rate average per miner is 94 terahash, which is really good. Also, no BTC HODL position there as well. All right, finally, Riot, really quick here. Riot's got all these guys installed here, making 1697 to 1867 a miner, which is really good. Pretty efficient miners except for these two guys here, and those might be getting obviously kicked out for making room on these ones here being installed to come. So they're looking to be making about 15.5 million a month. They are at approximately 3 exahash right now. So if we look at it over here, we're looking at 186 million for the year of 2022, 20 PE with 75% net from gross. We're looking at $24 for the stock price. And then if we're looking just for the last 3 quarters plus this quarter, we're looking at 27.23, and that is basically because Bitcoin was up higher in the prior quarters, and that's why that is higher here than it is here, because Bitcoin price has obviously come down. Stock price right now is at 15. I have them at 27.23, so obviously undervalued. Operational wise, they're 24% operational from future hash rate. They are getting to 12.7 hash rate. But they are also looking to do immersion cooling, which could increase that future hash rate by a portion of it, at least by 20% to 30%. We'll have to find out how that plays out. They do have a BTC HODL position of 4,889. So that's 225 million of that. That is basically 13% of their market cap value. And that's it for them. Okay, so now let's do the comparison here, miner comparison. So here's what we're looking at. Right now, obviously the one that has the most future hash rate, if we look at that, let's sort that ascending. So Digihost has the lowest, obviously. Marathon has the highest. Future one, that's 23.3. That should be 23.3, not 25. So they obviously also have one of the lowest operational current percentages are about 15%. Iris is at 5% right now. Obviously, Iris has a long ways to go, and that's not going to be until 2023 sometime. And Marathon is saying that they're going to accomplish this in 2022. So those are right now, I think, the ones that are going to be improving the most, having the most impact possibly on their stock price going forward if they can obviously install all of those miners. That's a big if. We obviously have shipping delays, chip delays, and all that stuff. And then Riot obviously is right up there with them, 24%. Like I said, they are also going to be having their immersion cooling for 48,000 miners or so. So that's going to be huge. And then we got Bitfarms is at 35. And DMG is at 27, but DMG is not going that much higher to only 1.6 or so exahash. But everybody's at least increasing. Nobody's over the line here, over 50% being increased, except for maybe Digihost. But everybody else is going to be growing pretty well this year as well. So that's a good thing. They're going to be basically doubling at least, whereas some of these guys are going to be going quite a bit higher in their growth rate. Average current per miners, obviously, Marathon, Iris, and Riot have the best miners here along with Cleanspark. And then everybody else is above at least 80 terahash per miner, except for Argo right now, which has some of the older miners, but they're getting more miners installed as well. And then BTC HODL, obviously we have that, but I don't think that's driving the price that much of the stocks. I think it's more future hash rate than anything else. You guys can comment on that if you'd like. And then we also, let's take a look at really quick, what would it take to have the miners basically break even on Bitcoin? Where would the price of Bitcoin have to be to break even for these guys, or if they're actually losing money? So I checked out whattomine.com, put in basically 4 cents as the electrical cost, and it came out to be about $3 per miner of electrical cost per day. That's where they have to be. So they have to be above $3 in mining revenue to make a profit. Anything below 3, they're basically losing money, or they're going to turn off the miners to preserve money. All right, so let's take a look at the numbers here really quick. So let's set the Bitcoin price right now at, let's set it to, let's just go down to, we're going to go really low. Let's go to 8,000. Because I think that's what most of those guys are reporting, that they have to be at least above 8,000 or something like that to be profitable. So we set Bitcoin price at 8,000. So let's take a look at Argo here. Argo right now, looking at the numbers here, so obviously the 38 terahash miners would be unprofitable. The 65 terahash miners would be unprofitable, so they would have to turn those off. These guys would still be profitable, but just barely. They'd be 76 cents a day basically in profit on it, but they would be making something on it at least. Bitfarms, if we look at Bitfarms right now would be in trouble right now. They would be at basically, all of these would be unprofitable. They would have only 2 of the miners here that would be profitable. The 80 terahash miners and below would be unprofitable for them, so they would be in trouble. Cleanspark is pretty much all good right now. They are $3.93, so $3 take away from that, so they'd be making basically $1 a miner a day if that were to happen. Digihost would be, for the most part, okay. They have a couple miners here that are under the 80 terahash, where it looks like the 80 terahash miners are the breaking point almost. It seems like where you are either profitable or not at $8,000 per Bitcoin. And that's if Bitcoin hash rate obviously stays where it's at. If you have a lot of miners turning off because they're not profitable, the hash rate obviously is going to go down. That's going to increase revenues as well. So got to keep that in mind as well. DMG, this is in Canadian. I don't know what that would be in Canadian. So if we it's going to be like $4 in Canadian, I think. If it's $3 US, it'd be like $4. So anything in Canadian would be above 4. So yeah, these guys here would be unprofitable, but all of these would be profitable, and all of these here would be profitable. So only a couple of the miners here would be unprofitable for DMG. Hive at $3. So these are still barely profitable at 14 cents basically a day. These would be 54 cents a day, 93, $3, and then these here would not be profitable for them at 8,000 BTC price unless their electrical cost is less than 4 cents per kilowatt, which I don't know what they have, but I'm going 4 cents for everybody here. Hut 8 would be profitable here with these guys, but not with these, and not with the black boxes here. And then obviously it would be okay with these here at 4.50, so that $4 Canadian price. Iris Energy would be profitable with all of them, 93 cents so far reported, and they should be fine with the rest of them as well. Marathon, if we look at it, Marathon will be fine as well if Bitcoin reaches 8,000. Then we got Mawson. Mawson would be 346, 385, so they would be fine here. These here would be basically break even, so I'll probably turn those off. And then these obviously here are okay. And then finally we got Riot. Riot would be unprofitable with these guys here, and then everything else they would be profitable with for the most part. And going forward, they should be fine as well. So it looks like, based on what we're seeing here, the 8,000 mark is actually kind of where the miners need to stay above. If Bitcoin stays above 8,000, I think the miners will do fine. Obviously, I don't know exactly what their total overhead is, employees, everything else. But at least if you're making something, you can obviously use that at least to kind of get you by. That should be enough to get you by paying payroll, insurance, things like that, whatever you need, lease, electrical, everything else. So yeah, they should be okay above 8,000. I think 10,000 is kind of the starting point where they start to worry. You know, is it going to go down even further? If it does, well, then we're in trouble. We obviously have to reserve cash and things like that. But anything above 10,000, I think they're going to be fine. I don't think we're going to get into 10,000 territory. I could be wrong. You know, we're at 34,500 right now. Could it go down to 10,000? There would have to be a lot of things go wrong in order for us to get down that low. We obviously got down to 3,000 from 20,000 in the last cycle. So would we get down from almost 70,000 down to 10,000? It's possible. You never say never, but I don't know if it's going to happen. Right now, where I'm seeing the hash rate with Bitcoin and everything else pointing to, let me see, where do we have it here? The RSI on it, I mean, we are just way, way low and way oversold on the RSI right now, which we haven't been there since March of 2020, sorry. So I don't, fingers crossed, I don't think we're going to get there, but it doesn't look like it at least right now. We may come down to the 30,000, 28,000 mark, maybe. So that's all the information on there. I know a lot of details on it. All the miners are undervalued in my opinion right now. I think it's a buying opportunity if you have cash. I have already spent my cash. I've been buying, as the price of Bitcoin has been going down, I've been buying obviously Bitfarms, Cleanspark, I've been buying Riot and other things. So I'm spent. I'm going to have to wait maybe a couple of weeks to build up some cash again, get some reserves going before I can start buying again. But that's where I'm at right now. Not financial advice, obviously do your own research and things like that. But let me know what you guys thought of all of this. Obviously, it's interesting to know that Bitcoin has to be basically below 8,000 in order for the miners not to be profitable. It all depends on the hash rate, Bitcoin price, and yeah, the electrical cost, right? So those things are all little strings that are pulling each other one way or another. That's it. Let me know what you guys think. Obviously, thank you so much for watching. Hope you guys have a great weekend. I may have a video out tomorrow, depending how I feel after my wife's birthday party, which is today. So we got that going on, and then I'll see you guys. If I don't see you tomorrow, I'll see you guys on Monday. We'll see how the market does then. All right. Thank you guys so much again. Have a great weekend. As always, subscribe, hit the like button if you enjoyed the video, and the notification bell helps me out. All right, guys. Bye.